With us now, we've got host of Bloomberg Tech, the one and only Ed Ludlow. Ed, thanks for getting up early.
He did watch the game, I just want to know. He did watch the entirety of the game.
Do you ever sleep?
No. Rarely.
I mean, you have been on this all week. You have been on TV, on this, on radio, on all the platforms. When we played our headlines earlier, you heard Elon Musk say he gave this a 10% shot of actually succeeding with all these goals.
Yeah.
So explain to me what just happened. Then why are all these people buying into this huge valuation? This stock is massively oversubscribed. Why does the market have such confidence in this company and this man?
It's a referendum on Elon Musk, essentially. You know, that everything that SpaceX presented to the market, it's pitch for the future, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I've said this to David so many times, but it's just the easiest way for everyone that's watching and listening to understand. When you file to go public, you file an S1. It's a document, it's called a prospectus, and you basically say to investors, here are all of our ideas and plans, and here are all the risks involved. And it just reads like a Christopher Nolan sci-fi script.
And like, aren't the first couple of pages a bunch of like pictures of like rocket ships and things?
And you know, there's an element that SpaceX, we can get into some of the ways, but they just don't do things the normal way. Elon Musk doesn't conform to Wall Street norms, but you know, the point is that SpaceX, in going public, needed to raise money. They need money to fund a bit of a pivot in the business, which is they're going from launching satellites for customers in the private sector and the government, and a Starlink satellite constellation themselves. You basically can get very good Wi-Fi that instead of coming from terrestrial cables and beamed to you via a box, comes from a satellite. Great business, working really well. Their future looks so different. You know, it is basically part one, put data centers in space, data centers in the form of a satellite, become an AI company, sell AI software like OpenAI and Anthropic do, and still the original goal of getting humans to Mars. It's all in there. And it's all sort of economically explained, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
David, you and I have tried to get into
They do emphasize in the prospectus this is a new economy. This is a radical departure for the existing economy that we have. Let me flag the great big take story that you and many of your colleagues have written about, the road to this IPO. Yeah. I think it's so fascinating. And you talk about the urgency that Elon Musk felt and conveyed to his team. And that had to do with you know, getting out there before the midterm elections, which I find fascinating, getting out there before Anthropic and OpenAI, and then also doing this before his 55th birthday, Elon Musk's 55th birthday. A small roll of the eyes there for our radio audience. But explain how he was able to do this so quickly. It wasn't long ago that he said, we don't need public markets. We can continue to rely on the private markets.
Like, originally, the story around SpaceX was that they would spin off Starlink, that business, like the internet business that I told you about. And Musk had said for a really long time that he would only do that when their numbers were good, when they had strong revenues and good cash flow. And so when we got to the end of last year and the story started coming out that they would go public, it was a bit of a surprise that it would be the whole company. Yeah. But we quickly reported, and you know, Bloomberg broke the story on this. The whole point was to raise money, buy GPUs, chips for running AI models.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
And put them in space, right? And that is, you know, that's a big part of the story. And all of those factors that you explained, based on very detailed reporting, are true. You know, Musk and the CFO of this company, Brett Johnson, had so much control over the process that's normally run by the bankers. You know, they did something unusual, which is just a technical thing, but before they even started marketing the IPO and went on the road and tried to convince investors of the brilliant story in the prospectus, Elon Musk and Brett Johnson basically were like, let's set a price, $135 a share. Typically, you don't do that. You say, okay, here's a price range, and you kind of say, what do you guys think? Mm-hmm. Should we go up a little bit, down a little bit? And you know, our understanding and our reporting is that it was Musk that really made that decision, in part to take everyone's leverage away, to control the IPO and do it on his terms, which is very Muskian.
Very Elon Musk,
even if the mechanism of the IPO was unusual.
All right, so it closed up 19% higher on the first day trading. Yeah. It's now at $161 per share. But as we talked about, this stock was 4 times oversubscribed.
Yeah.
So, like, how does that work? Is this if you're in line to invest in, you know, space stations on Mars, stay in line? Like, how are you getting this, and how do they prioritize?
So everything is relative. It was 4 times, maybe almost 5 times oversubscribed. You know, in IPOs around the world, not just in the United States, there have been IPOs that are way more oversubscribed than that. But I would measure the demand on a dollar basis. So they sold $75 billion worth of stock. There was $350 billion of demand across retail investors and big institutional investors. It means everyone is disappointed, right? You know, everyone that tried to get, so like, you know, some of your audience will probably be saying, yeah, that was me. You know, they'll be listening and going, God, you know, I really regret that I couldn't get the shares at 135. Maybe they used a platform like Robinhood or their online brokerage, and they applied for 1,000 and they got 100, or in most cases, they applied for a few dozen and got 1 or 7 or whatever it is. So then, when trading started yesterday, you have a choice. Do you try and buy shares on the open market? You know, it's better to have the shares at 135, and then if they go up, that's great. Then buy them at a higher price, and then they fall. You know, that's not good.
Before we let you go, last night, celebration at the JP Morgan building, just a stone's throw from where we are sitting today. Jamie Dimon bringing out the tomahawk steaks for everyone to enjoy as a result of all of this. Wall Street's happy, but I look at this nugget in, I think, Bailey Lipschultz's recent piece. SpaceX is not going to pay any fee if underwriters of the offering agree to exercise their ability to sell another 15% of shares. Use this green shoe. Why would they agree to such a thing? Why, given the magnitude of this, have banks kind of not rolled over, but done so much to lessen the amount of pay that they'd be getting as a result of this deal?
The banks are going to phone me now because and the bankers because of my answer. But you know, go back to what we were saying about Elon Musk and the CFO setting the price and dictating the terms. The bankers got paid. It's not entirely clear to me what it was they were doing. Actually, you know, there's a lot of evidence that Goldman Sachs in particular did a very good job of placing the stock with, you know, the whole point is when you decide who to allocate the shares to, you want to go to an institutional investor that will hold on to them for a long period of time. It's actually why there were so many retail shares allocated, because, you know, the company...
And there are penalties for, you can get from the penalty box if you flip them too quickly. Depending on it's actually, I'm just going to say I don't know the answer to that, but basically there's a distinction of buying stock on the open market, being allocated in the IPO, and whether you're an employee. The main point is that the banks made a lot of money from this. Musk did also negotiate very low fees in general. Because the scale of it, you know, it's just so unprecedented. On the green shoe thing, you know, everyone on the trading floor at the NASDAQ was wearing green shoes, which Musk signed off on. So there we go.
There we go. Ed Ludlow, the anchor of Bloomberg Tech, joining us here in New York as he makes his way back to San Francisco to start the show there on Monday of next week. We'll surely track this as it goes along. Ed, thank you very much.